All right, so thank you for joining us in this training. Today, we're going to go over how to acquire the skills, frameworks, and protocols to powerfully lead, fill, and facilitate a transformational men's group in 2023. So in this training, you're going to learn why the need is greater than ever. You're going to learn about traditional groups that are generally free versus transformational groups, which are paid, and the virtues of both. You're going to learn about the protocols that make up the transformational arc. You'll learn the business model of a well-paid men's coach, and you'll learn the next steps to lead a powerful and paid men's group. So we are the Crowning Kings, and our mission is to empower 100 new facilitators per year to confidently lead and run a business and make transformational men's work readily available to all who seek it in their local and online communities. I am Eric Allman. I've been facilitating men's groups, I've been on the participant side, on the facilitator side. I've started groups of my own. I've helped other men start groups, and I've been just sitting in groups for over 10 years. And I've seen groups thrive and I've seen groups fall apart. And I full-heartedly believe that transformational men's groups are the very biggest and most impactful thing that we can offer to shift the trajectory of humanity in a positive way.
Beautiful. I'm Ryan Schwartz. Some know me as Hendrix Black. I am an author of the book, The 7 Initiatory Fires of Modern Manhood. And like Eric, I've been a part of or have been facilitating groups for the better part of 10 years. And beyond that, I'm really fueled and carried by the ethos of what they can mean and what they can represent when done well, when done cleanly, when done effectively, how they're this almost master modality that can weave in so many of these more isolated types of work into one really potent and powerful group facilitation setting that empowers transformation on a really rapid and exciting level for its participants when they're willing to play full into it. So that is a little bit about us. Now about you. So this is going to be a potentially path-opening training, and I use this word intentionally. A training itself isn't life-changing. It is up to us on an individual level to change our lives. And this training can open up a new path for you that you were potentially already walking down, but didn't necessarily know how inviting it can be and how strong of a path it may be. So this can be a potentially path-opening training for you if you're already running men's groups, either on the paid side or the free side, but have maybe had inconsistent memberships, right? People coming in, people dropping off. Maybe, you endeavor to meet monthly and then it kind of just drops off to maybe once every few months and then just fizzles out to nothing at all, which is common in a lot of these free group settings. Or maybe you do have consistent attendance, right? And have maybe felt a little bit limited in your facilitation skills, kind of just winging it on the facilitation side, maybe scratching together some notes last minute, hoping that you can provide some form of a safe and effective setting for the work to take place. This is also for you if you're an existing coach or practitioner with a wide tool set and skill set, right? Maybe that is in breathwork, qigong, yoga, fitness training, martial arts, health coaching, life coaching, internal family systems, nonviolent communication, authentic relating, plant medicines, this whole host of potential tools and modalities that you may be skilled in. Transformational men's work is a place where you can potentially weave them all together into a really potent and strong offering that sets you apart and really helps you carve out your own place within this industry. And it's also for you if you're a natural leader, right? Just that man who everyone seems to naturally and organically turn to for support, right? That guy, right? So men and women perhaps naturally feel safe and open in your presence. They just kind of release into that space and the presence that you offer. And you enjoy being in this role, right? You enjoy being that space holder, right? You enjoy witnessing your fellow brothers and sisters unfurl, right? And kind of release into a new level of being or a new layer of healing that wasn't previously available to them. And maybe at this stage of your life, you do desire turning that into a business. Beyond it all, right, weaving all these threads together, you are a man, right, on your own journey of healing, growth, and awakening, and can really think of no better livelihood than a business that empowers other men to do the same. On the other hand, this likely isn't for you if you have no desire, energy, or bandwidth to step into an even bigger role as a transformational men's coach or group facilitator, or if you feel you already have it all figured out and aren't open to deeper refinement or deeper levels of facilitation skills at this time. And of course, if you haven't already experienced, or at the very least believe in the potency that a transformational men's group can have on your life and the lives of the brothers that you host, then this likely won't be the ideal path for you.
The need for transformational men's work is greater than ever. And we don't have to look at the statistics, the depression, the divorce, the suicide, etc. We can just take a quick observation at your own local community, your friends, and your family. Are men thriving? Do they have all the spaces they need to heal, grow, and awaken? And if not, what might happen if no one steps up to offer them a place to invest in the transformational work that may just save their lives and set a more positive trajectory for their partners, their children, their community, and for generations to come? These are the questions that we're asking ourselves regularly. 50 years ago, it was strange to be in a gym and endeavor toward physical mastery. Now it's time to normalize the transformational men's groups as the crucible for endeavoring toward mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual mastery.
So we're very much in this phase that I like to consider the 1970s gold gym phase of this timeline, right? So in the 1970s, it was only the weirdos, right, that were lifting, right? It was like Arnold and his buddies, like the guy who played the Hulk, Lou Ferrigno. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, right? And these were like the odd ones, right? And they were almost the misfits and out of place, right? And men's work has kind of been in that realm. It's really just been these small pockets of enthusiasts. And ultimately, I believe that we are moving into a direction or a trajectory where transformational men's work becomes as commonplace as this physical fitness component, right? Where it's not only the anomaly and the people doing this on the side as a weird hobby, right? But really integrating it into their life as something vital and important for their transformation and for their health. So our bold prediction and our whole mission is to empower this, right? That within the next 3 years, the transformational men's work facilitator becomes one of the most vital, in-demand, and well-compensated practitioners in this awakening and healing movement. And even today, right, if you take a look around, there are already hundreds of leaders pioneering this space with flourishing, purpose-led businesses that align with their own values and ethos. This is something that is already happening. It's something that we've experienced in our own lives and careers as coaches and business owners. It's something we've experienced in those that we have coached and mentored as well. So this isn't something that is akin to a fitness trainer before gyms even became widely available, right? This work is being done now. There is demand for it now, and it's only set to increase as we go on. So one thing you may be asking yourself, it comes up almost all the time when a man is considering stepping into facilitating, is who am I to do this? And the question I would invite you to ask yourself is who am I to not, right? This isn't a time for us to be playing small, right? And we don't need to talk about, once again, the dire statistics, just take a look around your community. This isn't a time for us to shield away out of that fear of who we are to lead this or who we are to not lead this. The stakes are simply too high, right? There is suffering all around us. There are men in our lives who could benefit right now from having this available to them. And in my view, the consequences are too present for any unnecessary delay. And one of the beliefs that I have around this work is that we don't have 12 plus months or multiple years to get certified into finally feeling confident and ready to do this work, right? I think that there's a lot of richness in developing our skills and our mastery over the long haul. And because the need is so strong right now, because the consequences of not offering this work are so dire, I do believe that we are all called to offer this as quickly as possibly while still maintaining the integrity of the work and the efficacy of the containers we hold. So there's a real urgency to this work, right? There's an urgency for the men that we are here to serve, and there's an urgency for their families and communities and children and partners. So our invitation is that if you are feeling the genuine call to lead this work as a business, right? Our goal is to accelerate that timeline that will have you leading powerful and paid groups within 3 months.
So at this point, you may be asking yourself the question, can I really run a sustainable business out of this? I know early days that was a question that I had, and it's a good question. So men who have joined our Crown and King course certification have done so out of the desire to add a paid layer to an existing business, whether that be a breathwork practice, a healing practice, martial arts, fitness, coaching, whatever they're currently doing. Some of them wanted to pivot into a new, more aligned business altogether. They realized that they were wanting to step into a more purposeful livelihood, a way to create a positive ripple into the world. And some of them wanted to host transformational men's groups as a heart-centered side hustle on top of an already solid career in business. Again, layering in a way that a form of livelihood or a form of service that felt more aligned and purposeful. And in all these cases, they must all overcome the why would somebody pay for this challenge? This is a very common thing, and there's a lot of almost dogmatic belief around traditional men's groups and anything that would present as a men's group when it comes to paying. And those aren't serving. So something that's important to reflect on here is men will invest time, energy, and money as long as there is a real opportunity for transformation in the areas that matter most to him. So if a man perceives there's not a real opportunity, or there's no longer a real opportunity, right? He's not going to continue to invest time, energy, and money into a men's group. So here's some examples of where men are investing in their transformation. $1,000 a month for a high-level fitness coach to get into the best shape of his life. $500 a month, or a session, I should say, for an intimacy coach or a relationship therapist to level up his relationship. $2,000 a month for a business coach to get his dream business off the ground. This is where general men's groups do not have a focused structure optimized for consistent transformation. Because of this, a man may come into a general men's group. He may dump some charge, emotional volatility that's going on, and he might start to feel a bit of a release, a form of cathartic release by being able to be seen in his inner truth within a group of men. And eventually that charge wears off and he needs something more. He needs a structured path.
So I wanted to just unpack this a little bit more, right, on creating a bit of distinction between these traditional groups, which tend to be unpaid, versus a transformational group, which really is a more recent phenomenon and something that Eric and myself offer ourselves in our Sacred Men's Council. So traditional group, once again, typically unpaid or by donation, and it may meet once per month, right? Gathering men to openly share, right? Be vulnerable, share emotions, maybe release some charge, but not really a strong intention or structure around it, really just opening up that space for whatever may arise within it. Whereas a transformational group is typically weekly, right? With daily check-ins and consistency and continuity between the sessions that are offered in a highly structured container that are optimized and engineered to ignite that rapid change across the core area of one's life. And if you're familiar with masculine and feminine dynamics, the transformational group has a lot more focus and directionality and intent to it, whereas the traditional men's groups, in their own way, actually have a bit more of a feminine orientation, where that space will be opened and it has more of an emotional release component to it than an ascension. And this is where we're heading and what we're seeking to experience within it, tonality or theme to it. So the typical session structure, right, of a traditional group will be space setting, right, followed by rounds of sharing without any of that prescribed area of focus, right? A man may release some charge around his relationship or his parenting or his kids, or talking about how he really hates his job or his health is declining or how X, Y, or Z is happening, right? So there's no structured theme to it. And men are free to express any emotion present across any realm of life. And this is beautiful. And it certainly has its merits to it. This isn't to diminish it. It's simply to reflect on this type of structure in relation to a transformational group, where every month has a very specific theme that gets rotated between sacred intimacy, right? Our relational lives, our marriages, our relationships to ourselves, something that is so dear to us that we are actively already investing in. Sacred livelihood, right? This is our job, our business, our career, our purpose, our mission, where we are investing our energy and intent in creating something of value in the world in a way that resonates and aligns with our own purpose and ethos. And sacred kingdom, right? Our family lives, our children, right? Our communities, our expression that goes beyond our immediate selves. So these are the themes that we rotate between within a transformational group setting. And each one of these has very clear intent in creating transformation in an imminent and present part of a man's life. Then we move into the transformational tools that are often used within these group settings. So in a traditional group where the facilitator is often also a participant doing his own work, the tools are typically limited to space holding, right? Open sharing, and maybe some background in nonviolent communication and different ways of expressing things in a safe way, right? And resolving conflict in a safe way. Whereas in a transformational group, the tools used are quite specific in optimizing for state change, right? In doing depth work and accessing parts of us that have been long held dormant, right? And tucked away and locked away that we may not even be familiar with, as well as a leaning into new aspects of ourselves ready to come online, new potentialities that may not have been readily available to us in ordinary consciousness. So there's very much a sense of embodied transformation, right? Of diving deep into the depths of what we didn't know was hidden, as well as venturing off and extending into what is that new, potentially scary thing that we're leaning towards. And we use 4 transformative protocols that make up an arc, right? So we have our signature protocol, a sacred shadow work protocol, a sacred edge work protocol, and a sacred breathwork protocol. And each one of these plays a very specific part in what we call a transformational arc that creates this lasting transformation in one of these main themes of a man's life. And finally, we get to the goal of a container, right? And this is really where a traditional group doesn't necessarily have a stated goal. In fact, it might explicitly not have a goal and not have an agenda. If anything, it is loosely defined and centered around simply having every man feel seen and heard by his brothers, which once again is a beautiful intent, which has its value and it has its place. And for a transformational group where men are going to be investing between $100 or $500 per month to be a part of, the container is built around the intention that every man who commits himself in this space, financially, energetically, physically, is thrust on a rapid transformative journey of healing and awakening with real observable leaps in his life, right? That he doesn't have to reach for or pretend are there, but aren't really there. They're real, they're true, they're tangible, and they're observed by all those closest to him as well. And then the contribution, right? A traditional group is very difficult to assign a value to, right? Because in truth, some men may get a lot out of that release of emotional charge. Other men may not get much out of it at all, right? And simply be there to just connect with his brothers, right? So assigning value on this type of group with low intentionality is very difficult, right? And that's why these tend to be free or by donation and ultimately fizzle out because they become unsustainable to host for the man who's facilitating them. Whereas a transformational group fits within that range where men are already investing for transformation in the areas of sacred livelihood and sacred intimacy and sacred kingdom. And they view this as a component or an accelerant to that which they are already investing in. And that's why requesting or inviting a financial contribution of $100 to $500 per month per member is not only available, but it's actually something that men who desire this transformation are eager to invest so that they can really feel like they've asserted themselves into this transformation that they seek.
So we want to talk a bit about the business model here of a well-paid men's work facilitator. And we want to just break down a model of what you could expect to step into as you move into this role. So first, we have the weekly transformational council. This is like our Sacred Men's Council. This you could expect to receive between $100 and $500 per month per member, with an average group size of somewhere between 10 and 20 members. That would equal 1 to 10K per month. Now, something to mention here is, whereas a more general men's group would struggle to have 10 to 20 members, because if there's 20 members, often only 1 to 2 men are doing work at a time in a traditional men's group, whereas in a transformational men's group, every man's doing his work simultaneously, and then we're doing short rounds of sharing. So you're able to increase the group size and capacity without sacrificing any man's ability to do work, and having space to earn a healthy living as well. Layering in one-on-one mentoring. Let's say you have 2 to 3 members at 1K per month. That's another 2 to 3K. Number 3, monthly immersions, retreats, and workshops, anywhere from $300 to $1,500 per participant. Layering in online courses and memberships, etc. There's a lot you can layer in here, and it's impossible to show every income there. And then affiliates, and this would be more for specialized coaching programs like sacred sexuality, fitness, and spiritual. So to start out, we want to illustrate it, secure the base, your first 3 to 15K a month. And to do this, you would only need weekly transformational counsel with 10 to 20 members at $100 to $500 per member, which would get you between 1 and 10K per month, and then one-on-one mentoring between 2 and 3 members, again at 1K a month for 2 to 5K. So this is well within reach to most of the men watching this video. If you're watching, you're still with us. This is possible for you. This secure base that we're talking about here. These first 2 layers don't require a high degree of marketing skill or complexity. You don't need a lot of tech knowledge or ad knowledge, things like that. They only require your courage, your willingness, and your true desire, right? If you have the true desire, that will help you have the courage to move beyond and to take a look at any fear that comes up. Because stepping into leadership and into this facilitator role accelerates your personal work also, because you're stretching, you're moving on to new ground, and there's opportunity there for you to continue to grow.
So our invitation for you, especially if you've watched up to this point, is to begin this process today and without delay, right? Don't wait for anyone to grant you permission to do this, right? Invite men into your first sacred council, this afternoon, right? As soon as you watch this video, declare yourself as available to lead and facilitate this work, right? Going back to the point of not asking the question of who are you to do this, but who are you to not, right? Are the men around you in your local or online communities going to be better for you offering this work or not offering this work? That is the litmus test for you to evaluate here. And of course, there's going to be weeks and months and years for you to refine and upgrade your skills. And then decide to what degree you feel most called to offer this work. As we mentioned, there are men who are doing this as an entirely new online business. There are men integrating this as a layer to existing ones. Choose what feels like the most powerful intention for you to set around where this work of facilitation fits within your life. And for men who have that genuine desire to go all in right now and collapse the timeline and how long it takes for their confidence and their capacity to lead and fill powerful groups to come online in a really true and powerful way, we are offering our program, which is the 12-week core certification program. And this has been engineered for that accelerated growth. Remember, we don't have a year of doing this solo work before finally feeling ready. You know, what are the consequences of those men who could benefit from our work right now if we make them wait another year, right? The marriages that may not last when there were a few tweaks and upgrades and evolutions available, if they had the space to experience that transformation. So within 3 short months inside this Crowning Kings core certification program, you will gain entry into our own transformational men's group. That is the Sacred Men's Council, where you will experience these protocols directly. You will experience a transformation that you will soon be empowered to facilitate and lead yourself. You will be trained in the personal energetic practices, the hygiene, the protection, the responsibility to properly lead and safely guide effective and potent containers. You will receive guided instruction for facilitating the 4 core protocols that make up the paid transformational men's work that we teach, right? That is the signature process, the shadow work, sacred edge work, and sacred breath work. These are 4 modalities and transformation protocols that you will be initiated into, that you will practice, and that you will achieve a degree of mastery over, where you can even adapt them for one-on-one sessions that you could charge upwards of $200 per hour. You will practice these in our bi-weekly live coaching sessions. You will receive feedback and audits on your work so that there could be a constant sense of refinement and you could feel fully confident in your ability to offer these sessions in both group models and one-on-one models. And you will activate the special and highly nuanced marketing and sales practices to fill your group practice. Now, this is what we would call sacred work, right? And it can't be marketed and promoted with sleazy tactics, right? That make you cringe, that kind of destroy trust in a container that is so strongly forged by these bonds of trust. So there is a sacredness to the marketing and to making powerful invitations and asks of men that we will be guiding you towards the conclusion of this program. And there are so many more layers within these 3 months that we simply can't break down in such a short video. So I'm going to invite you to start a conversation with us, and Eric's going to walk you through some ways you can do that.
So our invitation to you, if you are feeling the call, is to lean into this work as quickly and as powerfully as possible. Get a sense of the urgency to do it without delay for yourself and for your brothers. So your next steps at this point are to fill out the application below this video and to schedule a call with us, a time in the next 24 to 48 hours, so we can assess mutual fit and candidacy for the program. Then begin envisioning what this new sacred role will feel like for you and for your community. This is an important piece of the process, is to really be able to feel it. We look forward to speaking with you on our call, and thanks for watching.